Hello, beautiful light-filled souls. Tricia Barker here. I'm so excited to chat with you today because I have Silvia Isachsen here to talk about her downloads from heaven and so much more that's really going to be applicable to you. She has been so pivotal on my own journey, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. But thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Tricia. I'm excited to be here.
And the first thing that I want to ask you, and it's something that I take great comfort from as your friend, and I've told many people that get medium readings from me, I can activate people. Well, I really feel that you have activated my dreams in this beautiful way and this really healing way. So I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about your dreams.
For sure. They started around when I was about 8. And the very first dream I had was of my grandfather. And he had passed before I could meet him. And it was a real significant dream. The reason I'm mentioning it is because in that dream, he looked young. And when he spoke to me, he wasn't using his lips. And then he also was talking about a little brother that I actually didn't have, but apparently I did have. So those 3 things were key elements that were going to make a difference in the future. So when I started hearing people talk about their communications, their near-death experiences, and how it was telepathic, and how they talked about loved ones who had passed, but someone I didn't know about, I wasn't aware that my brother had passed. This was really validating for me, because when you're 8 and you have a dream like that, you're kind of like freaked out about it.
Yeah, so tell me about the brother. Was this just like suppressed by your family?
Exactly. Well, he was unfortunately stillborn. However, his soul had come through and had a purpose. And my grandpa wanted me to tell my mother about this. And when my mother heard about it, she was quite shocked because nobody had ever told me. By this time I was 8, so nobody really talked about that too much. It was something that had happened and that had people weren't talking about, especially back then in those days. So these dreams continued on to happen, and I really wasn't sure what was going on, and I was getting all kinds of extra sensory perceptions, but I really just thought, maybe this is life, maybe this is the way it is, and I didn't really talk to anybody about it because I wasn't totally comfortable with it. So it continued on, and now I absolutely adore my dreams, and I look forward to going to sleep. So I wake up with a dream, and I've put them, well, not all of them, but quite a few of them in my new book, Downloads from Heaven, which I'm giving away at the summit, at your summit.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. And I'm so excited to have you talk more about topics in the book. And yeah, the summit would not be happening this year, I have to say, without your help. And yet it is exactly the way I want it to be, because I want it focused on energy and I want it focused on empowering other people. And I think these dreams and this spiritual connection has empowered you a lot through life and has
Mhm.
been
Mhm.
pivotal in certain ways. And I want you to just tell me a tiny bit more about how the dreams have opened up your world.
Well, the dreams have evolved and they're almost like a series. So I'm learning lessons, and the lessons, just before I wake up, they'll say, and Sylvia, remember this when you wake up. I'm always, and there's different kinds. There's ones where it's remember this when you wake up, and there's other fun ones where I go on a journey, and I go and see things that are happening, then I come back. Yeah. So I want to tie them all into the book. So one of the series was about money. And it was very interesting because when you think about spirituality and what you would learn on the other side, the first thing that you would think of is not necessarily money. And they explained to me how, through this series of dreams, which is in my book, they explained to me how money and treasures are like rewards. So I'll tell you one of the dreams. So I fell asleep in my dream, that there were 2 angels. One angel was at the opening of the cave, and the other angel was saying, come on in, Sylvia. And again, they were speaking telepathically, communicating telepathically. So I went into the cave, and there was so much gold, so many jewels, and it was just loaded with all kinds of things that you can imagine, like necklaces, vases, treasures. It looked like there was just, and then the angel was saying, come deeper because there's so much in there. I was like, oh, that can't be for me. And they're like, yes, it's all for you. This is, God wants it for you. And this angel was guarding it at the front. And I got the sense that this angel was always there waiting for me to come and collect this treasure. And so I was thinking, oh, well, I got to tell you, I don't think I've ever done enough to deserve all of this treasure. And so then I looked at the angel and I felt a sense of joy that this was given to me. But at the same time, I got the lesson like that. And the lesson is that, and by the way, these dreams are like universal lessons that I'm supposed to come back and record. The lesson is that I didn't feel worthy of all of that treasure because, now this is my interpretation, not what they told me, but what I was feeling, because I hadn't done enough to deserve it here on earth. So they explained to me how when you use your gifts here on earth, you feel validated and you feel worthy. However, if you know you have gifts and you're not using it, it can feel the opposite. You can feel unworthy, you can feel struggle, you can feel pain, you could feel stunted in your evolution, and you're not even really certain what it is. It could be a feeling that you can't really pinpoint, but when you do utilize your talents, meaning your talents don't have to be anything spectacular, they can be, but they don't have to be. It's just, you know, you're using your talent when you're doing something that makes you feel good and helps other people. That's the key of service. And then it reciprocates. You feel comfortable and worthy receiving.
Oh, that's so important. I think worthiness in love in all areas of life is so important, and people need that message to feel worthy of all that they want. I think there's a lot of shame and sadness and self-esteem issues that more people battle with than they even come forward and talk about.
Yeah. And when I had that dream and then I woke up, I thought, well, I don't really feel like I'm a person that doesn't feel worthy. But deep in the deeper layers underneath the surface, you'll start to notice different reactions that you have. And that is symptomatic of feeling unworthy. And my goal is to sort of shine a light on that and to help people see that you are totally worthy and you can step into your gift and step into your purpose. And that's really my purpose now.
Oh, cool. And I have a question for you, which, many near-death experiencers and many people with spiritual gifts step forward and they want to use these gifts. They want to help people. And especially after a massive near-death experience, and they'd rather do energy work or healing work or put together a conference like this, and people attack them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you make money with spiritual gifts? You should be giving these away. Well, how do you keep your lights on? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you eat? So do you have any insight, because you have a business background and then these spiritual awarenesses that are developing in amazing ways?
Well, thanks for asking. So, yeah, I was a very business-oriented person, and I owned a lot of businesses involved with technology, and I earned a lot of money with those technology businesses because the nature of technology is that it's specialized knowledge, but at the same time, all of this spiritual stuff was welling up, and I wanted to combine the two. Now, back to your question about how can you address that? Well, I didn't feel bad about, asking for money for developing a website or setting up, sales funnels and writing copy and things like that. I didn't feel guilty about it. However, when it is related to God and our purpose, a lot of people feel a rub with that friction, like, money is the root of all evil. There are a lot of belief systems that are in our subconscious, or what would you call it, cultural consciousness, that we are bad if we get paid to do what we need to do to survive. So for example, if you're an energy worker and you don't charge and you have rent or a mortgage or a car payment, that doesn't seem very logical. So there are limiting beliefs that are there, and they stem from that same sense of unworthiness. And they stem from that same sense of unworthiness. So I guess that it's a cultural misunderstanding that it's okay. Now, I know why that happens, and I'd like to explain. The reason being is because when you get involved with money, you can get that feeling that's tied with your ego, and you can get that feeling that of greed, and you can get that feeling of like, I want more, I'm going to do more, and that sort of over ambitious type of feeling that is actually corrosive to your spirit and your soul. So I get that. I understand that, but that's an intention versus money. So I think there needs to be a clear distinction what your intention is and how you operate versus the actual money itself. Money is not the problem, and God wants you to have all the rewards and all the money you need. If he didn't, we wouldn't have this level of abundance on earth where you just drop a seed and it grows.
Oh, I love that. And that the intention to me is important too, because if my intention is to make near-death experiences more mainstream, to help humanity, to add to stopping human trafficking, to help the environment, if those are my driving forces, then I'm in the right alignment and to help others. And yet when I get attacked and I see other people get attacked, there's a part of me that's like, oh, that hurts. Why are they attacking me? Do you have anything more to say
Yeah,
about,
I
why
do.
people attack?
For sure. You know, whatever comes up, I have this analogy that I usually don't share with everybody, but I'm going to right here. I feel like everybody's like an orange, and when you squeeze them, the juice comes out. So whether it's sour juice, sweet juice, whichever. And I'm not suggesting that some people are sour. I'm suggesting that some people have been programmed, whether consciously or unconsciously, with information that's not serving them best. And then when they get into a conversation with you, or they analyze or view you, there's the feeling of judgment, and judgment only comes through analyzing and feeling like, well, that's not right, well, that's not what I think, and that's where you come to wills. So it comes to a set of, I will that things are this way, and I will that things are that way, and that's where we have conflict. So I feel that we just need to respect people's opinions that are different than ours until they come to that part of evolution. It's like a child, if a child can't speak yet, but another one can, it's the child that could speak is not at fault because the one that can't, or vice versa. So I feel like we need to have compassion for people who are making judgment, and we just need to move forward, set an example, strive, be prosperous, and succeed.
Beautifully said. And I do want to ask you too about your latest download, if you want to share anything.
For sure. Okay, so in the latest download, this one is nearest and dearest to my heart. I feel like it's kind of like the grand finale, like when you're watching a series, and it's simple but really impactful. So it was that I was meditating, and I was, waiting for God to come and speak to me as he does in my meditations. Those are my meditation downloads. So I have dream downloads and meditation downloads. And he said, I want to answer a question that you've never asked me with your voice, but that you've been asking me with your heart's desire. And I said, wow, that's great. Literally, this dialogue's happening in my backyard on my lawn as I'm meditating, which is, I find, really cool. And he said, the question is, you're always asking, where are you? And where can I find you? And when will I meet you? And when will I see you? And the answer, he said, is in the beating hearts of all living beings. And I was like, wow, the ramifications of that. Then I started to immediately, well, what about the trees? Well, what about the sky? And all living things. So what that meant for me, and hopefully you can resonate with this, whoever's watching, is that here on earth, now, Tricia, I feel like you've had a near-death experience. You've been to heaven. You felt God's love firsthand. You felt that powerful feeling. But here on earth, for us to connect with God, we need to connect with one another. And there's nothing more powerful than the power of connection between people and souls here on earth. And for me, that was I'll be really honest, it was a bit daunting because I keep people at arm's length away most of the time because of, things like what you said. There's judgment and mistrusting. And after so many years of living through life, you experience a lot of things and you become a little bit skeptical about people, and your trust maybe isn't 100%. Like when you're a child, you're all like, I guess that's why it says, like, you, to get to the kingdom of God, you got to be like a child because you're fully trusting, you have complete faith. Well, when you keep people at arm's length away, think about the symptoms. And even during these times, you're lonely, you're depressed, you don't feel loved, you feel disconnected, you feel anxious. All of those feelings can be remedied if we could connect with one another in your heartbeat, like literally in your heart, connect, love, trust, have faith. But what happens, let's be realistic. You grow up and things are happening and you kind of feel like beat up by life, or events that occur can, whether it's trauma or just simply living life. And that creates barriers and layers between people. So my dream for me and for everyone is that we could dissolve those layers and really start to love one another, connect with one another, be there for one another. And of course, it starts with me. So I can't, this is my belief system. I can't just walk out there and expect people just to be good and loving and say, oh, well, I can't be friends with that person because they're not good and friends and loving. No, even in the difficult people, it's up to me, like a gardener, to cultivate God within that human being. And that's my latest download.
Beautifully said. And, I talk about this a lot, that it was easy as a teacher to love a group of younger students, to walk in and see the divinity, to see the heartbeat of each person. And I was in a position of power, so it gave me a little safety. It's a lot harder to do that in the world. Howard Storm talks about how God said to him, love the person in front of you. He wanted to create big art pieces and do amazing things for God. And God was like, no, love that person in front of you, whoever that is. And that's powerful stuff. It's challenging too. So yeah, that's a balance of how to protect yourself and how to love.
Yeah, and I think that, the protection I feel is like the love of God. But I want to just mention something about your summit. Here's why I'm so excited for the summit, to speak at the summit, to, give away the book at the summit, is because the summit connects. I mean, you're creating a platform, Tricia, that is connecting speakers who want to share and share their gift with people, and people who want to receive it. So you're really creating something, the word magical comes to mind, but very spiritual, very high vibe, very high energy. When people come to it, they're going to step away transformed. And it's this transformation is a process. My latest download is very simple. Find God in the heartbeat of everyone. In other words, cultivate and find God in other people. However, there are real things that make us feel polarized. And your summit is going to help shift the vibration, raise the vibration, crack people out of that feeling of fear and loneliness, and take them back to where the rightful place is: love, peace, happiness, joy.
Thank you. That's really my intention this year, is that energy of love. And so I made it free as well for anyone to join. The time zones might be a little different across the world, but I have friends in different places who are getting up at 3 a.m. to join and watch and be a part of the live event. So please do check out the link below. And if you join and you join for the free access to that will be great. If you join and have more access to the portal, then you'll get Silvia's book and a whole lot more things. But I'm so excited for it and can't wait for you to share more with people.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for having me, Tricia.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I wanted to just say one more thing, and that is that this is exactly why, when you said at the beginning that wouldn't be happening or whatever, this is my driving force, is that I could just imagine all these people coming, being transformed, and being happier.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Me too. All around the world, I feel like our lights connect and we're like this network of lights in different places. And I think that's what a lot of near-death experiencers have seen. And I think it's just beautiful when we bring these moments of heaven to earth. But thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you. Bye-bye.